This weekend, we saw two major QB dominoes fall as number 20, Michael Hawkins, comes off the board to Oklahoma, and Aaron Nolan at number 10 to Ohio State. Here's a look at the top 20 QBs in America and who's available. Only two QBs in the top 10 right now, uncommitted. That's Dylan Raiola at number 1 and Elijah Brown at 6. As we turn the page to number 11 through 20, we have a handful of uncommitted prospects here. 12, 14, and 15. We have Michael Van Buren from Baltimore, Jaden Bradford at IMG Academy, and Isaac Wilson from Draper, Utah. Let's bring on national recruiting analyst Sam Spiegelman to the show. Sam, why do you think a majority of the top QBs in America have already locked into a school?
Already, I mean, it's the middle of April. Easter is come and gone, but these guys were committed before the season came to an end. Look at some of these big names that committed. DJ Lagway to Florida in the fall. Julian Sayin to Alabama in the fall. At this point, we're playing catch up. A good chunk, like you said, I think there's 5 uncommitted quarterbacks in the top 20 at this point. Obviously, Dylan Raiola being the headliner, but listen, in this particular recruiting cycle, quarterbacks have been more inclined to make their decision at the tail end of their junior seasons as opposed to the spring going into their senior years. It's just a change in the calendar for this particular cycle. But, we've still seen guys like Jaden Davis and Aaron Nolan continue to stick to their timeline, and Michael Van Buren and Isaac Wilson and Jaden Bradford will follow suit. What this tells me, Josh, is that, we have different segments of the calendar devoted to the quarterbacks, which you and I both love. It also leads me to think that we might have some shakeup toward the end of this recruiting cycle when it comes to the quarterbacks.
That is always a possibility, but it's too early to talk about that just yet. Over the weekend, like I said, Ohio State and Oklahoma get their guy, get their QB. But a week ago at this time, we were making our predictions. Now, we had OU and Michael Hawkins kind of linked together. We thought that's the way it was going to go. It does. But we thought either Miami or Clemson was going to find their QB with Aaron Nolan. Both teams do not have a premier QB committed in this, didn't heading into the weekend, have a premier QB committed to their program. Ohio State gets Nolan on campus, offers, everything changes. So before we take a look at what's next, I need you guys to like this video and subscribe to the On3 YouTube page. I'd appreciate it very much. All right. So what is next for Clemson and Miami? First, let's start with Clemson. Sam, do you think that Clemson needs to sign a QB this cycle?
In my opinion, every program should try to sign a quarterback in every cycle. It's a foundational piece. Whether you're at the NFL or you're building a college football team, you need to start at the most important position. That's quarterback, and that's making sure that the depth chart is, has your starter, your backup, and you have development along the way. And Clemson, we have talked about this for several months because they've continued to miss on their top targets. In the past, they've gotten guys like Cade Klubnik and Christopher Vizina, but they have missed several times here in 2024, starting with DJ Lagway, all the way down with Jaden Davis, and most recently Aaron Nolan. To me, it points to them either not signing someone in 2024, maybe looking to sign 2 in 2025, kind of rebolstering the depth chart, or something that they have not done is gone through the transfer portal.
Yeah, as you said, they do have 2 very capable QBs on campus already that they recruited and signed. But it does seem a little strange for Clemson to be missing. However, I don't know how much it's going to affect their recruiting because they're still in it for a lot of great offensive talent like a Mike Matthews, like a Cam Coleman. They're still in the running for some of these premier guys. Now, when it comes to Miami, they do need a quarterback in this class, and they made a preemptive move before Aaron Nolan's decision on Saturday. On Friday, Miami accepted a commitment from Judd Anderson. He's a quarterback that they reached out and offered about a day or two before. He's 6'6", 217 pounds, out of Gray, Georgia, attending Jones High School. Now, we talked about Aaron Nolan ranking number 4 in the QB charts. Judd Anderson is number 66th. He's the 1,049th best player overall. Like I said, he's taken recent visits to Tennessee, Georgia Tech, UNC. He was at Miami on Thursday, got the offer a day later, and committed. Sam, my question to you is, does it feel like Miami, who only has 2 commitments right now, they have Judd Anderson, a 3-star quarterback, and an unranked kicker in Abram Murray. Does it feel like Miami is starting to fall behind this cycle?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to press the panic button in April. There's a lot of time to go still on the recruiting calendar. But this is Miami. This is Mario Cristobal. You could close your eyes and find a blue chipper somewhere in South Florida. So you want to see more than two, one being a quarterback that's ranked in the 1000s and a kicker as well.
Yeah, Miami finished with the top 10 class last year. They almost had a top 5 class, had a couple things not gone their way or gone a little bit differently down the stretch. But now they're currently sitting at about, I think, 58 or 60. And I'm sure all this is a coincidence, Sam, that John Ruiz and Life Wallet has seen its valuation sink by more than $30 billion over the last year. I'm sure it's all a coincidence that they've delayed their 2022 annual report as rumors of lawsuits and bankruptcy swirl. I'm sure all of that is just a coincidence to why Miami only has 2 commitments right now. But I'm not saying that I think that Miami's class is going to tank this year. I don't worry about that at all. They're going to definitely finish with a respectable class, but is it going to be what Miami fans thought they were going to see every year under Mario, where he's stacking, top 10, top 5 classes year after year? I find it's going to be a struggle without that premier QB in the class to finish where they did last year. But we'll see how it all goes and it unfolds. Maybe Miami turns around on the football field this season. I think that could really help them. But putting together an elite class, I think it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the Canes. So let's take a look at some of the other teams in the country that do not have QB1 currently committed. They are USC, Oregon, Penn State, Maryland, Clemson, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Arizona State. Those are the primary teams without a QB1. So how do you see Dylan Raiola's decision impacting some of these programs?
When Dylan Raiola announces his decision, there's 3 programs that are sitting and waiting. 2 of them have not made a move at the quarterback position until Dylan Raiola will, and that's obviously USC and also Nebraska. Right now, Georgia is favored on the RPM, and let's say that trajectory takes place. Well, they have a quarterback committed in Ryan Puglisi, and we talked about at the top of the show. Ohio State has not stopped communicating with Ryan Puglisi. They've offered him after Dylan Raiola decommitted from there. And the communication I expect to continue until he signs somewhere. Let's say he does go to Georgia. USC is still in the hunt for a quarterback. You look at Elijah Brown from right outside LA. He's been making a West Coast swing right now. He's visiting USC, UCLA, and also Stanford. He seems bound to stay on the West Coast. And USC, like you said, Josh, might be just be keeping him warm on. And then you have if Nebraska misses on their top quarterback target, Dylan Raiola, they have not made a significant move for another quarterback. There might not be a 2024 quarterback that they can even pursue. So maybe they take the direction of loading up in 2025, see if we can get not 1, but maybe 2 blue chip quarterbacks for Matt Rule to kind of take over in Lincoln after potentially missing out on Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, the QB dominoes are falling. You never know what impact they're going to have until it happens. It's kind of like a big game of musical chairs. Everybody's kind of circulating. Everybody thinks they have their spot until the music stops, and then you see it. So we'll keep following the QB dominoes on the Inside Scoop. Sam, thanks for checking in with us. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.